Before we get started, please go over to Amazon.com and grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. Folks, I am happy to announce that a federal judge out of San Francisco has blocked the Trump administration's mass firing of federal workers. These folks are really experiencing hard times, losing their jobs like this. And so it's really a feel-good story to see a judge say, no, let's put the brakes on this. This is probably not legal. This is probably not constitutional. And that's precisely what happened. Now let's go over here and look at a little bit of this article. You see the title is Judge Blocks Trump Administration's Mass Firings of Federal Workers. A federal judge ruled that determinations at agencies, including the Department of Defense, were probably illegal. All right, so it says a federal judge on Thursday ordered the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, to rescind directives that initiated the mass firing of probationary workers across the government, ruling that determinations were probably illegal as a group of labor unions argued in court. This sounds like a preliminary injunction hearing. I don't know because the judge didn't release an order, but that's what it sounds like. District Judge William Alsop ordered OPM to rescind its previous directives to more than 24 agencies, including the Department of Defense, the Park Service, the Bureau of Land Management, the National Science Foundation, and others identified in a lawsuit. The ruling, a temporary restraint on the government that will be revisited in the coming weeks, is one of the biggest roadblocks so far to President Donald Trump's effort to slash the federal workforce. And here's what the judge said. Quote, Congress is given the authority to hire and fire to the agencies themselves. That's the issue. The Department of Defense, for example, has statutory authority to hire and fire. Alsop said from the bench as he handed down the ruling Thursday evening in federal court in San Francisco, quote, the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, does not have any authority whatsoever under any statute in the history of the universe to hire and fire employees at another agency. They can hire and fire their own employees. So what is he saying? He's saying OPM can fire OPM's employees, but OPM does not have the authority to fire employees across the federal government. Now, OPM is like the HR of the federal government, okay? So the judge made that ruling, said that it's likely illegal, unconstitutional, and they're going to revisit the issue later. All right. Now, all of these cases eventually will find themselves in front of SCOTUS, who is very favorable to the Trump administration. So the Trump administration has basically no fear of what's going to happen once it reaches SCOTUS. All right. Now, the article goes on to say, it was unclear how soon and whether the ruling might result in tangible benefits for federal workers who already have been let go. An OPM spokesperson said the agency had no immediate comment. In his remarks from the bench, the judge specifically blocked the Department of Defense, or the Defense Department, from proceeding with an effort to fire civilian employees on Friday. But he did not say what he expected to happen in detail at other agencies. A written order is expected later. That's what I'm waiting on. And the judge said he would hold more court proceedings in the coming days. A group of union plaintiffs advocacy organizations led by the American Federation of Government Employees, which represents about 800,000 federal workers nationwide, argued in legal filings that OPM broke the law when it ordered government agencies in mid-February to fire all probationary employees, defined as those who are in the first or second year on the job. This ruling by Judge Alsop is an important initial victory for patriotic Americans across the country who were illegally fired from their jobs by an agency that had no authority to do so, said Everett Kelly, national president of the American Federation of Government Employees. These are rank-and-file workers who joined the federal government to make a difference in their communities, only to be suddenly terminated due to this administration's disdain for federal employees and desire to privatize work. So we don't know how this is going to play out because, again, this is a preliminary matter, and eventually this matter is going to go in front of the Ninth Circuit. And the Ninth Circuit is pretty liberal. It's known to be liberal, although several conservative judges were appointed to the Ninth Circuit in the past few years. But it is known to be quite liberal, so it is the reason why I would also imagine the plaintiffs sued in this district so they could get it in front of the liberal Ninth Circuit. But the government eventually is going to get this case and many others in front of SCOTUS. And again, SCOTUS is very, very favorable to Trump and MAGA. All right, so it's going down, and we are thankful that judges are taking in consideration the fact that these firings may or may not be constitutional. But let me say again, all of these things were laid out, I keep saying this, in Project 2025. And this is just the first phase of this. Just the first phase. There is another phase coming. And I have an upcoming video where I will tell you what that next phase is and the ramifications for these employees and, most importantly, for our country. All right? So we got to keep our eye on this, because the intention of the Trump administration is not good. What he's essentially trying to do is expand executive power. And they are basically, as they call it, emptying the deep state, trying to get rid of all these federal employees who may not be on board with Trump's agenda. And so they're trying to get these folks in the government so that they will basically rubber stamp at the administrative level everything that Trump wants done, everything that Project 2025 wants done. Because they believe the folks who are in those civil service positions are anti-Trump, and they basically fight back or push back against Trump's agenda. And that's what this is all about, actually. And it's really, really concerning, because I'm just not sure what's going to happen in 2028. It seems strange to me that they're going this hard to expand executive power only to potentially give it up in 4 years to a potential Democrat president. And that Democrat president would then have that expansive executive power that they fight for. Although there will be in the deep state a bunch of MAGA people that Trump is trying to hire. So they're banking on that. If Trump does willingly walk away, if he loses in 2028, and the question is, can he even run in 2028? But we see all kind of chatter about him running. So there is the possibility that they would try and somehow amend the Constitution or get SCOTUS to interpret the 22nd Amendment in a different way so that he could, in fact, run a fourth time, although he's been twice elected. 22nd Amendment says you shouldn't be able to run if you've been elected twice. But when you control SCOTUS and Congress, wow, you can do a whole lot of things that ordinarily you wouldn't be able to do. So they spelled it out in Project 2025. I know precisely what they're trying to do. And if we don't be very diligent, they're going to be successful at it. So there is some good news here that I wanted to share with you. In the meantime, I am civil rights attorney Augustus Corbett. Thank you for watching this video. Stay woke.